Hi, everyone. Today I'm talking to emerging leader Dan Wang. Dan's an actuary with over 10 years of experience in life insurance, including valuation and regulatory capital. Originally from China, Dan came to Australia to complete his university studies, and he's lived in Sydney ever since. He's currently an actuarial manager at Daily Actuarial and Data Consulting. And prior to this, he was the IFRS17 and Data Science actuary at MetLife. Outside work, Dan is the cook at home and plays competitive tennis every week. Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to actually join this and share my experiences. Yeah, we're really happy to do this. And hello everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm sure your experience will be very helpful for a lot of other actuaries who are aspiring or emerging leaders. But I wondered if we could start just by, if you could tell us a little bit about your career path to date, Dan.
Sure. It's a lot of probably when I'm thinking about it, it's a lot to talk about. It's been working for 10 years, and then probably start from the first one. So started in Canberra in Australia just for the study, and then to find my first actuarial job in Melbourne. So moved to Melbourne. And that is actually when the capital standard, ICAP or the regulatory capital started, that standard started. So it was lucky because basically my first job was I was really lucky to actually get into that piece of work, helping running the models and later on developing the models. So gain some really good knowledge in the capital space. And then surprisingly, that actually helps me for all the subsequent career as well, because this is actually such a good experiences to have. And then so after my first job, actually, the second one is at the AMP or MetLife, moved to Sydney. So that's first come to the Sydney, and where the majority of the actuarial positions are. And then that job, as a start, I was working the project team. So the project team basically helps to consolidate the results, managing the year-end, the quarter-end valuations, and then put together all the key papers like FCR, the ICAP, and the board papers. I mean, probably at that time, personally, I wasn't enjoying that much because I was looking for some more technical role. But looking back from all these years, actually, again, that experience has helped me a lot. And in terms of I've been more organized at work, and I can actually put together a proper project plan and track to it. And then so that actually trained me well in terms of those extra skills. So I stayed that job for around 1 year, and then I moved to a more technical role, which is probably a more traditional actuarial role. So end up in the valuation team in the AMP. So yeah, starting to actually gain some hands-on or very hands-on sort of actuarial experiences. So that's pretty much for my first half of the career, essentially. I'm very technical and then just hands-on, pretty much doing the things myself. And so during that time, pretty much the analyst title, and I moved to the senior analyst title when I working at Clearview. So that 1 year was good experience, actually starting to get exposure to working with other teams and other team members of finance team. So that was good. So just the first taste of how the more senior positions are. I have to explain the result more rather than just do things. And shortly after that, actually probably is a bit linking back to the first point I mentioned is when the ICAP started, actually get into that and actually benefit from that. So I was more conscious when actually for the career choice at that time as well. So when the IFRS17 started, I'm actually very consciously actually want to get into that area because I understand that we're going to set me up good for the future few years. So I end up I was lucky and end up finding the position at MetLife and join the project team and getting involved in at the beginning in the standard interpretation and how to implement those standards, and later on and design the models, design the calculation methodology, and helping a little bit of the checking of the model and the interpretation of the results as well. So I actually quite enjoy that experience because this is the job actually is a bit different to the traditional actual role where we work in the valuation team or the capital team. And this is a project role where the interactions with other teams are much higher and also are starting to expose it to the non-traditional sort of area of the company, or it's probably not non-traditional. It's more like just all areas of the company. So data team, a modeling team, in addition to the traditional finance team and the actuarial team. So was good exposure. and working with a lot of seniors and juniors as well, and people with different levels. So it actually helps me to thinking about, okay, so for me to become a manager, what do I need to learn? What do I need to, gain the extra skill? So luckily, I mean, just like Julia yourself, actually starting to holding a course called Guardian Actuary Leadership Program, and jumped on it, and actually learning about the things, actually what the managers requires, and we need sort of essential skills. And shortly after that, I actually gained the manager position. So that's pretty much last year. So I joined the Daily Actuarial Consulting as a manager. And essentially, I think this job is probably is the very rewarding or the good choice I've actually, if I'm thinking about it. And so this position actually not only gives me experiences to managing some work and then at the client office or at our own office, internal work, but also actually helps me to gain exposure in other areas. For example, the recruitment and some working under some very internal innovative projects. So yeah, so it has been really good for if I'm thinking back about it. So yeah.
So much diversity over that 10 years of experience. So you came to Canberra, so you must have studied at ANU, did you?
Yes, ANU, yeah.
Yeah. And then you've had what sounds like a series of quite different roles with varying levels of technical expertise, but you've also gotten involved in some of those new regulatory capital changes and right from the start, whether it was LAGIC or IFRS 17, and gotten involved in how to set things up for that. And it sounds like you quite enjoyed that process of learning those new standards and figuring out how to apply those new standards and doing a lot of the doing through those different roles. But then you got to a point where you wanted to step into a manager role and you wanting to make that transition. And I know that can be quite a challenge for a lot of people, and we've all got different experiences in terms of making that challenge. But often what we're drawing on when we first make that transition from technical actuary to leader, we're thinking about the leaders that we've worked for before, and some of them were great, some of them maybe were not so great, some of them are great in different ways. And so I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about some of the great leaders that you've worked for, great actuarial leaders that you've worked for. I know there's a few of them, and maybe what was different about them, or what were their special strengths or their management styles.
Yeah, sure. I'll share a few of them I can think of. Or it's a lot of them actually come in my head. Like, because I actually lucky for my career, I'm working in different companies. I'm seeing a lot of different leaders, and that actually gives me that different aspect and about actually learning from everyone. So probably quickly named a few.
Yep.
The first one actually come to my head. Sammy Liu, the current managing director of Daily Actuary Consulting, and then I mean, just because of the nature of the consulting work, I don't directly work with him. But at the same time, what is actually really special about him is I do feel like, okay, so the background there, probably he's always a busy man, like managing the company, actually helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
But how I actually personally feel is every time when we actually want to talk about the things and I need some support, he's always there. So that actually make me very comfort, like he's always reachable and can provide the support very timely. And secondly, he's actually really passionate to train people up. So that sort of skill is actually, he's actually really into the people development, and actually happy to spend time to train and to provide people the right level of the knowledge. He's always happy to share his own experiences and give you a different aspect on how you do things better. He's not actually just force you to do the things in one way, but more like actually just, this is how I actually experienced and then how I actually managed the situation. And every time that helps me a lot. It actually give me a new perspective. I try something different and changing myself in terms of the way I'm doing the things and talk and discuss the things. So it actually is great experiences working with him.
That's great. Yeah. So even though he's really busy, he still makes time to do that mentoring and development work with you and shares his experience, which is useful to hear how he's handled things in the past.
It's definitely like he's very insightful as well. I actually listen to this, rely on his long experiences.
He does sound like a great leader.
And like the next one I probably will mention is Wayne Brazil from from MetLife. He's the chief actuary. If I I think he's the chief actuary. Yes.
Yes. At the moment, as of the day we're recording.
Yeah, and again, probably I haven't actually working with him very closely, but the things I want to highlight there is he actually has the culture. He actually want to have the culture where the structure could be a bit flat in the company. So he actually takes time, like as an initiative, to talking to all level of people on a quarterly basis. So through those conversations, and then one thing I actually find quite beneficial from himself is so previously when I joined so when I was first working at the MetLife, my title was senior analyst or IFRS17 actuary. And then he himself actually liked to try and the test or to use those modern techniques like the old tracks, Python and R. He's actually quite inspired by himself. So he's encouraging me to actually just get into that area more and basically trying to using some new things and push me to learn or gain new skills. So as a result, actually, he is actually the person encouraging me to changing my title from IFRS17 actually to IFRS17 and Data Science actuary, and to give me that recognition. So yeah, so I actually find this is quite rewarding for myself. And in terms of the title, definitely is a better title. And then also to push myself to gain some new skills and experiences. And also he actually get in touch with the US data science team. And at that time, and we gain some hands-on training or hands-on work experiences on that area as well. So I really appreciate that. So that's actually the good, one of the example of the good leader where just being innovative himself, but also trying to spread that to the team as well, and to get the team actually all upskilling at the same time. So
because data science in life insurance is probably still gaining momentum. So that would have been quite innovative when he was suggesting that. And so was that his idea for you to do that, or had you expressed some interest in coding and bringing some data science into your work?
Oh yeah, a bit of both way, because I was lucky, because personally I was actually quite interested in those things. And then so I did some extra learnings, and then so I did some extra learnings and online short courses to just sharpen the skill. At the same time, like he actually has that similar thinking as well. So so that's
right. That's great. So he saw the opportunity, knew that you had an interest, saw that you were keen to develop and learn, and kind of created that environment where you could build your skills and learn some new things, and also benefit the company as well, because you've got some new techniques and other things that you're using at work to make things better. So yeah, great. Yeah, Wayne, yeah, great leader. Another great example. We are lucky to have lots of role models, aren't we, in our
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, no doubt. I mean, probably the last one I can definitely mention is my previous manager, the direct manager, Bowling Lee. He's at the moment the head of the IFRS17 at MetLife. And then I mean, because we're working closely on the daily basis, and I should learn a lot of good communication skills and good leadership, and how to manage in the workflow and then doing the things a lot from him. But one thing I definitely want to highlight was special for him is just during my first performance review. And the background probably is I'll be more quiet. Normally, I don't really keep a record on what I have done. So I actually come up with probably 4 or 5 items. And then he actually gave me like a 10 to 15, like it's actually a long list of the things I have done. I actually was, it actually make me feel like all the work, all the hard work and the extra effort we're putting is all worthwhile. I mean, I think for that point is probably the first time I actually feel like, yes, this is some manager issue just working for, because they actually definitely recognize and take notes of those credits, and then also at the same time provide me the feedback and the key feedback on which area I need to grow. So it helps me with my ongoing development as well. So that's 2 things actually quite special about him. So
that's really special. So he didn't expect you to come to the performance review with all of your achievements. He'd actually been collecting them for you and could play them back to you. That's amazing. That would have been so it would have felt so good to have your manager come and share all those things that he's noticed throughout the time working as well.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That was quite good experience to have.
Yeah,
So lucky to have those good
amazing.
managers. Yeah.
So yeah, so it sounds like you've had, I know you've probably had other leaders as well, but it's three really great actuarial leaders with their own unique strengths and talents that have really made an impact and a difference for you and your career. So Dan, you're now in a management role. That's newish for you. Can you tell us what you like most about working as an actuary in a management role?
Yeah, sure. Definitely hands-on experience to share. And I think so this is actually the real case as well at the moment. So basically I joined this client company and helping with their job. And at the same time, there's a grad level or co-op student that should join at the same time as well. And then we're working very closely together for like 6 months. And then during the time, definitely a lot of my time is to spend to actually help him grow and develop in terms of knowledge, in terms of how to just work at the workspace, proper work at workspace. So I mean, what I really enjoy after all these experiences is I can see him actually become a kind of like subject matter expert in one very specialized area. And then the company actually value his input and work effort as well. So offered him a contract role after
Oh,
his
wow.
internship. So that was actually, I mean, because looking back, it's actually quite a good experiences for me to enjoy, because I can actually see him actually saying, I learned a lot from all these experiences, and I can actually contribute back as well, because he actually knows so well. He knows probably a bit more than even myself and a lot of people actually working there for a longer period. Just it's very specialized in one area, and then that experience is, when looking back, I actually quite enjoy to helping people develop as well. So basically passing on all the good knowledge and learnings from my managers, and then to using these things to train up the people. So I do feel a lot of it's very rewarding experiences for me. Feel happy for that.
It is really rewarding to see that, isn't it? When you're
Yeah.
able to teach and develop, and how amazing that he came in as an intern, and then you were able to teach him and support him and support his development to the point where he was then offered a role after that. That's incredible. That's amazing leadership. Well done, Dan.
I can't take all the credit. It definitely is hardworking as well. But yeah. But for me, actually, I find just quietly actually enjoy this when I actually heard the news. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's such a wonderful story. So. And I mean, was that sounds like that was quite maybe an unexpected joy of being a manager as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us that you found interesting or challenging or unexpected about working as an actuarial manager, being in that new role?
Yeah. So definitely the probably start with the unexpected things.
Sure.
When I started out working closely just with one people, and then I do find that the time I actually need to spend to become a manager is probably more than what I expected. Because I just thinking back on my own experiences, like on the day-to-day, just one catch up or two catch up. But then when we're working with more junior person, probably the time actually there, or you actually have to make yourself available to provide some ongoing support and checking on what they are doing, if they like in that sort of style. And then it's actually could be more. Probably have to prepare for that, especially in a situation where you're managing a few people or the few projects or the work stream together in one day. So have to plan your time very carefully. And so that's definitely something I learned. It's a bit different. It's a bit like different
Your
than I
day's
expected.
different.
Yeah,
your day's different, isn't it? Because when you're doing all the work yourself, you've got your to-do list and you're working through however you like to manage your time and your activities, but it's just about getting through the work. But then, like you said, when you step into that management role, you've got to create time and be available to answer questions and to delegate and to check in. And there's a whole new set of things that you need to do and activities that you need to do. And sometimes it doesn't feel like work. It feels like it's not the work that you're used to. So fitting it all in can be quite a challenge.
Yes, yes. I'm
Yeah.
still learning. Have to do that time management for the properly, definitely.
Yeah. I think it's an ongoing challenge for all of us. We've got to keep practicing those skills.
Definitely. And probably the other things I find interesting is because I have the so in my current work setting, I have the situation where I have to doing this multiple things at the same time, and at the same time managing or working with different people. And I do find actually it has for me it has to be more adaptive to the others working style. So this is linking to what learn from the guiding actuaries training is actually just basically understanding people's working style, and because it's easier to changing myself than changing others. So like this personally how I feel. So
Yeah,
have to
okay.
actually be more flexible, and
Yep.
then to when we're working with different people, and especially on a different level of people when they have different experiences, and then it could be very different working styles. So just finding the momentum and then adapt to it. So that's the things I actually find interesting and challenging at the same time. So not saying I can
Yeah.
do well, but it's just ongoing experiences to just be better at that.
Yeah. The adapting your style can be quite challenging, but quite powerful when you can work out how to do it. I wonder if there's an example that you can share with us around some of those different styles that you've come across, or how you've changed your style or adapted your style to get sort of the best out of a situation.
Yep, definitely. So say just probably what example just right coming to my mind is some people actually prefer more regular touch point, and then so essentially not just 1 or 2 meetings, but he's preferred to actually have some like 10 minutes or 5 minutes conversations during the day. And then meaning it's a two-way thing, meaning one for me to actually keep an eye on or just more better understanding where we're at, so I can provide better updates or timely updates to my stakeholders. And at the same time, just to figure out how much support I need to provide or how much work I need to do personally, just get my hands on a bit more hands-on as well when the things getting a bit complicated. Probably not just complicated, or when we need to talking to the right people, to the stage where we need to talk to the right people and figure out what is the best way to do things so I can actually be more involved. So this is one style, probably one common style when it's come to the more junior person. But when it comes to even just at the junior level, and some people actually will find probably a bit overwhelmed if you keep going to them and talking to them every hour. They actually want a bit more space, and they actually want the time they can think and do things themselves, and then come back with you with a one lump sum sort of update and help. So it's more like I just need to probably make my calendar a bit more flexible as well to allow for those shorter meetings at the same time. Some people do prefer those longer meetings, so just adapt to their own working style. So that's one
It's a great
thing. Just,
example. Yeah, it's a great example, that frequency of contact, how often people want you to check in. Some people do need that time, like you said, that time and space just to sort of do their thinking and not be bugged all the time or feeling micromanaged. But then some people do like those sort of regular times.
Yeah.
And how do you work out what people want? How do you work that out and know which to apply for different people?
Yeah, this is a great question. Great question. The at the beginning, I'm a bit more like a try and error, and like so to figure out what they want. Perhaps I actually just basically trying to schedule the meetings. So essentially, at the beginning of my management role, I would pretty much just do my style first and see how they adapt to it. But then later on, I'm actually just asked them. It's just having a conversation with them and say, how do you want to be managed? Essentially, that's part of the things I've learned there as well. Just like say, basically be upfront and say, actually, tell me a little bit about how you want to work, and then let's see how can we actually make this work for everyone. So this is very simple things, very simple things. So,
Love it.
but people actually, because I think it's naturally just want people to adapt to yourself, and then this is just changing the mindset of actually just become more essential and focus on the team member a bit more. So
no, excellent advice. I love that, Dan. So you've shared what sort of unexpected and challenging and interesting about being an actuarial manager. So I want to finish by asking you, what's your one top tip that you would have for actuaries stepping into their first management role?
Yeah, sure. A top tip was around the delegation. So have to delegate more. So for me personally, I actually started with a very technical role, and then I think I actually more technical. I'm being very technically competent. So there are cases where I think the process or the whole work is very complicated. It's hard to delegate, but then I'm actually getting to the situation where I just have to delegate because it's too many things going on, and then just need support to do things. And then so the very tip I could get to the people who step into management role is actually trusting your juniors more, and then you'll be very rewarding. And then that's my personal experience. This means actually something actually probably for me myself I think is quite complex or quite complicated, and that they are not to delegate, but I actually just basically jump out of the comfort zone for me as well, just to try to dedicate all those very complicated things to juniors, but with the right guidance and right support.
Right.
And then actually the outcome is amazing. And then this is what I experiences from the work. So we've been working very complicated stuff with junior people, with junior level people, and then we can still deliver. But then the basis there is have to trust them. They can actually do the work, and then they can pick up the things. And then it's also about actually finding out what the team member like and enjoy. And then so delegating the more work in that area will help them actually encourage them to deliver the good outcome as well. So that's definitely my top tip. Just trust, give them more trust, and then give them a go.
It can be really scary though. It can be really scary for people to think, oh, I can't give the hard work to the juniors, I can't give the hard work to the grad. But what you're saying is that, do that, but trust them to do that, but give them the right guidance as well. And some great outcomes can come from that. They might surprise you.
Yeah. Well, it definitely surprised me.
Really?
Me from different people. So
yeah. Amazing. That's really great advice. Thanks, Dan. So great conversation today. You've told us a bit about your career path and how you've had lots of different technical roles in different aspects of life insurance, and then some of the great leaders that you've worked for and what made them special and unique and different, and what you've taken from that as you've stepped into a management role yourself. You've talked about the things that you enjoy about working in a management role, and some of the things that were unexpected, how rewarding it can be to be developing junior staff and to see their careers progress as well, and how by putting trust in your junior staff and giving them more complex tasks, they might just surprise you and actually deliver some great outcomes. And also how you find that it's good to just ask people how they like to be managed and to have those conversations, and that can be a really great way to understand different people's styles and how to work well and effectively with other people, because we are all different. That's one of the challenges of management. So some amazing advice in there, Dan. I wondered, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I think, just as I'm talking through, actually it's a great reflection for me as well. And I think one of the advice or the probably additional things I want to share is probably investing the personal trainings on the soft skills and the management. Because I do find as the actuary, we probably heavily focus on the technical aspect, like from our part 1, part 2, part 3 exam progress, and then teaching us a lot of the technical aspect. The new communication course is great, but then in addition to it, I think getting some trainings in the leadership, and then it will be really rewarding as well. So so that's actually just from my personal experience, and find those investment quite worthwhile. So
so invest in your development. Know that these skills are things that we all have to learn and practice, and that there's options out there to help you. So Dan, thanks for an amazing conversation today. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I have no doubt that your reflections and learnings that you shared today will be very helpful for other emerging actuarial leaders.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's great. Always great conversation with you.
Always great conversation, Dan. Amazing. All right. Well, thanks, Dan. We will talk again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.